What is going on, survivors? We're back for another mod review, and for today's mod review we're talking about Paleo Ark Legends expansion. This adds a few different versions to the already Ark creatures, gives them a couple cool little abilities, bit of an overhaul as far as how they look. So let's jump right into it. What this mod's going to do is give you the creatures that are currently out here. We're going to go one by one and talk about them, as well as a few little abilities they're going to have on top of that. Some may have specific saddles, and we'll talk about exactly how those work, but let's get into it. So they're going to spawn on your map like they normally would. There's no big deal there. They're going to basically spawn where their counterparts would have. And for the most part, aesthetically, it's really just kind of a coloring option. Some are bigger, a little bit bigger. Some are a little bit, I think some are just a little bit bigger. I don't think there's anything that's smaller, with the exception of the dwarf allosaur over there. But we're going to get right into things. So this is the paleo version of the Spino. As we can see, the textures are overhauled. The color options are overhauled. The Spino is definitely a little bit bigger as well. Other than that, it's really the same as a normal Spino. No big deal, no other benefits that I could think of other than just the texture overhaul. And that's pretty much it for the Spino. A couple of these are literally just that. They look a little bit different. The textures on the sail, on the snout, like different color options basically. A few of them have a couple different tweaks, but we'll talk about those. The Tyrannosaurus Rex, we have a paleo version of that as well. You can't really see the color option until we get up the top here. And these guys take the normal saddles that they would normally take as well. So it looks like the Rex actually changed how it roars. Like it can actually roar while it's on the move, which is nice. And it's a bit more boomier, lasts a little bit longer, as you can tell. Does still look like there's a countdown as far as like how often you can yell. I mean, you don't want your T-Rex to get laryngitis or lose his voice. That'd be kind of embarrassing. Anywho, yeah, just that simple option to be able to do that while moving, and then it's a little bit louder, lasts a little bit longer too. So a little bit of buff to the roar, and it just makes sense. I don't know why I had to stop to roar. It's always kind of weird to me that did that. Anyway, Ark Stegosaurus, the Paleo Stegosaurus. Now this one operates the same way too. As we can see, color options are a lot different on the Paleo Ark version now. And when I say there's no change other than aesthetics, it means that I simply don't see any or can't find any documentation on it. And it doesn't seem to be. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe the stats are tweaked. Feel free to shoot something in the comments if I missed something. But yeah, they just look a lot cooler, to be honest with you. I love the color schemes on a lot of this stuff. Moving over to the dwarf allosaur, same kind of that tiger striping sort of color option we're getting. These guys are about a third of the size of normal allos, but they still keep all of their stats. So these are the same stats as a normal allo. They're just considerably smaller, making roaming around with a pack of these guys a lot easier, let me tell you. I like this a lot, and it's kind of funny sitting them next to this Baryonyx because you think that, wow, but the Paleo Baryonyx is actually a little bit bigger than a normal one, but still pretty small allo. But I don't know, if let's look at the pack bonus, I'm not sure I care. The color scheme looks great too. I like the tiger striping on these guys. It looks really nice. Speaking of, let's talk about the Baryonyx. The Baryonyx is bigger. It's pretty much what we're getting here. They're slightly bigger. Now, the Baryonyx is usually a little bit smaller than this. Not a whole lot, but a little bit smaller than this. And that's predominantly what we're getting, as well as the texture overhauls on the berry as well. Rolling over to the Kentrosaurus. The Kentrosaurus is bigger than the vanilla, obviously. And then it's also rideable. So it's a lot bigger. You don't need a saddle. You can ride on this guy between the spikes. I really like that. I also like with this guy that when you get off, you're sitting on his back. Sometimes with other creatures, it's like, especially with one this size, sometimes you actually jump off of them, where it's really convenient when you're out there to get that little bit of a height advantage to kind of see what's going on. I like that idea. That's a little touch that I really like on a lot of the medium to larger dinos, is the option to stand on the back of them when you dismount. Moving over to the trike. The trike is exactly how it would have been before. It's just got a huge texture overhaul, which I actually I like. The textures the colors I really dig on all this stuff. I think it's fantastic. It looks really neat. Anyway, trike just bigger, pretty much. Paleo Therizino. Color scheme's obviously a lot different. This is another one that I don't see any difference with abilities as far as that's concerned. It looks to be about the same size too, so really just cosmetic as far as changes that go on with this guy. Paleo Dialos. So we have a normal Dialo with the color scheme change on it. It looks pretty gnarly, but then we also have a rideable Dillo who is considerably bigger, and I can ride this guy around, which is pretty awesome. The fact that I can ride this around makes these things a little bit great, especially with the spit option, like being able to kind of control that when you're riding around. I really dig that part. And it looks good at this size, honestly. I thought it might look a little stretched out, but it doesn't. It looks really good at this size. Works pretty well. Last but not least, we have two different versions of Tyrannosaurus Rex. We have the evolved Tyrannosaurus Rex, which is this guy here on the left, and then we have the Tarbosaurus, which is a different variant, like a scorched earth variant, on the right. Now, the bones are actually a saddle option. That's a saddle option. I'm going to take this guy off so we can see the overall model. But you'll be able to make a Tarbo evolved Rex saddle, and this one just looks like bones. You can get a normal one if you want to, but this one provides more armor and it just looks cool. But you can take this off and you can see what I'm talking about here. So stature wise, not too bit of a difference at all, as you can see. What you will notice is the feathered option is there's more heavy feathers going on these guys. The only difference is one of these you're going to find in the scorched earth area, which is this dude right here, sands, desert place, where you're going to find this one at other locations as well. This one does a left click bite, a right click roar, and a spacebar stomp attack. We're going to hop back on him so you can see what's going. Boom. Does a stomp attack, which is supposed to scatter small dinosaurs all around, so you can kind of fight little guys off that way. When they run up underneath of you, you'll have the option to stomp. And let me kind of go back into K-Med so I can kind of maybe zoom out and kind of see this. Hard to see his feet. Plus he's pooping all over the place. It really is. Boom. Yeah, so you can stomp on stuff. I mean, you got these gigantor feet. I don't know why you wouldn't have that option before. Really good idea on that part. Really good idea as far as that's concerned. These two work pretty much identical. It's just aesthetics. You're going to see this guy in more of a desert region. You're going to see this guy everywhere else where Rexes usually spawn. The color option is clearly a little bit different, where this seems to be more spotted. This one seems to be more tiger striped. The feathering seems to be about the same, honestly. I thought for an instant that the scorched earth one seemed to be a bit more feathery, but I think that was just a color that spawned in. So yeah, pretty much it. These are the only two guys that you'll have different saddles for. That's pretty much it. And let's go back in and check those Rex saddles. You will unlock them at level 80 and level 100. Now this is the regular version and this is the armored version. The armored version has the bone appearance. The regular version does not. So regular saddle at level 80 and then the big saddle at level 100. Fiber, hide, and metal to craft. You craft them on your person and then throw them on there and you're good to go. All in all, I gotta say, from aesthetics, from a cosmetic standpoint, from an appearance standpoint, I think this looks really, really cool. I'd be curious to see if we got some, I don't know, maybe other slight different abilities. However, the nice thing about this is very compatible with Kraken's Better Dinos. So if you're looking for abilities and a cosmetic change, run this with something like KBD, and now you have animals that perform differently, but then also have some really cool color options. So these would work really well. I believe they also work with immersive taming and a few others. You can always check the Steam Workshop page, which we will always leave a link to so you can check it out. The colors look great. I don't think any of them are quite over the top. I think probably sometimes they might be, but it's also dependent on the map that you're playing on sometimes. Like, you know, like this might seem a little extravagant here, but on like a map like Aberration, it probably feels kind of normal, to be honest with you. So I like the options. I like the tiger striping. I like the patterns, the spots and things like. I really like the color in the sails here on the Spino. That looks really neat. It's almost like a war paint or like a, I don't know, maybe almost like the color pattern off of what I see off of like one of those poisonous tree frogs a little bit. I don't know. It was a really cool idea. I dig it. I like the idea of making the Kenchers a little bit bigger too. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. I'd love to see more. I'd love to see this cosmetic happen to a lot more creatures. Apparently there are some mini bosses planned in the future. I hope so. I hope so. Anyway, ladies and gents, that is the Paleo Ark Legends expansion mod. Please feel free to check the Steam Workshop page out. We will leave a link in the description of the video so you guys can check that out at your leisure. And as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. See you next time.